what up, video game players, young people that are enjoying them right now? This is the time of the year where old game companies and old men try to, link with us, try to connect and then try to sell us video games. And this E3 has been a difficult one to get excited about video games because, I was a little down on this E3 up until today. But I had to talk over with Liam, and he kind of made me realize, I kind of forgot, maybe a lot of the people did, is that this is a very transitional E3. We're approaching the last year of maybe Xbox One and PS4 development. So, there's not as much to show, there's not as much excitement as there is, especially with one gigantic console maker not even showing up to this E3. But fortunately, Nintendo is in this very nice place where the Switch is, still going very, very strong. So there's that. But I wanted to break down my top 10 most hype and least hype things, moments, games, announcements of E3 2019. I don't even have this in a proper numerical list. I'm just going to list them. They're not in any particular order. So let's start with top 10 most hype. I really hope more people click on this video because I'd like to, impart the things that I thought were cool more than the things that I thought sucked. And there was quite a few things that sucked this year, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I'm starting off with Enter the Gungeon, House of the GUNDEAD. Did you see this? Did you hear about this? Have you seen this? This is Devolver's arcade release. It is a rail shooter that uses the Enter the Gungeon aesthetic and world. This is real. They're putting it in arcades. Apparently each cabinet costs $5,000, which is actually really, really expensive, but I guess they need to make their money. Apparently they've said it's going to come to the home as well, but this is one of the most insane announcements. It can only come from Devolver. No one else does this. The closest we get is Japan will announce 2 years later there's going to be an arcade release of this game, or in the example of Tekken 7, kind of the reverse. But it happens so rarely that a new publisher is bringing over an arcade title. Enter the House of the GUNDEAD. That has so money. What a money title. Just Gungeon in general has some of the best logos, monikers, suffixes to all their games. So that is one of the cooler things. It's unnecessary, but I was yeah, that's awesome. Next, we have that horror game at Microsoft's console, which I went the gamut through trying to decide what it was. I was is it Alan Wake? Is it Resident Evil? Silent Hill? But I was very pleasantly just surprised to see that it was a new Blair Witch game. For those of you that remember, around 1999-2000, there was a trio of Blair Witch games that are unfortunately hard to emulate. Believe me, I've tried. So this coming from Blooper Team, which, have put out some notable things, mostly Layers of Fear 1 and 2 and Observer. Them being on this is interesting because I think this developer really needs to stretch their limbs out with more gameplay, and this seems to have it. You have a dog friend that can search for items and clues. You're looking at old VHS footage on your handycam, and it's showing things that happen to you, that happen to other characters in the past, and you're trying to look at that and replicate it with the real stuff that's happening in front of you because you're stuck in the Black Forest Hills. I've looked at some gameplay footage of this. There was a stage show for it the other day, and I was yeah, no, this looks much more interesting than their other games. I really hope it's scary. I hope it doesn't meander too long. It's a 5-6 hour horror game. This type, I'd rather be a shorter, more visceral experience that's in 3 hours rather than stretch it a bit too thin. But there weren't a lot of horror games, barely any, that were kind of at this E3, it seems to me. So I was really happy to see this get some limelight, and I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out in August, so I'm definitely gonna give this a go, and hopefully it's a nice spooky time. Astral fucking Chain, son. I don't know what it is, but everything about this thing is working for me. The fact that Platinum's behind it, the fact that some people on Nier are also contributing to it, that it's basically polished and done, and it's coming out again this August. The whole police cop aesthetic I'm actually super into. It reminds me of like a futuristic You're Under Arrest or something. I think all the mecha enemy design, I think all the character design looks hype. Kamiya working on it is obviously a thing. I really wish they would release like a demo like in July or something just to like whet our beaks on. But you know, this being shown at Nintendo's presser this year, I was just like, good, get some eyes on this. I really hope this game even gets like a little mini direct, just showing us all the gameplay features and like all the mechanics of combat and stuff. I think it's worthy of having like even like a little 12-minute direct. I'm really hyped for this thing. I'd love to like do something with it, either a quick look or maybe even a full LP. Might not have the time for that, but I'm really looking forward to Astral Chain. It's one of those like very rare games that come along, except for some Japanese studios that put out these like, you know, action-orientated, no loot boxes, no games for service bullshit. And it's just nice to see that these games still come along every once in a while, a little bit, you know, too rare for my liking, but I'm really hyped for Astral Chain. Astral Chain, I'm saying that super wrong. Astral Chain. I hope it delivers this year. I hope it's like kind of a meaty game. Like I'm like hoping for like maybe 10 hours, something around then. And I hope there's like another little gimmick, like a little multiplayer mode or some other type of thing that you do. And I'm also hoping for a good, entertaining story. It doesn't need to be needlessly complex, but I want something that's kind of gripping. So Astral Chain, a lot of people still don't even know about this. They're kind of like, oh, what's this? I don't remember this. And like, yeah, it was kind of buried in a random direct near the start of the year, maybe last year. But I really hope that this is going to be another success for Platinum. All right, it's kind of a double thing, but GHOSTWIRE Tokyo and Ukiya Nakamura, I believe. Yukiya Nakamura, I should have looked up her name. Her last name is Nakamura, but this woman, like a lot of people have been saying on Twitter and stuff, is just a treasure. Very bubbly, just very different from the type of person that usually comes up on stage. Usually, even if there's a few Japanese presenters, I mean, they're just like every other presenter. They're kind of like a little like bland, a little like stiff and wooden because they're not used to talking. But this woman was just a delight to see. It's really cool that she gets to direct this particular game. It's really nice seeing Tango Gameworks not make another Evil Within. Like, don't get me wrong, Evil Within 1 is, a fine horror game. It's not the best out there. Evil Within 2 I like more, but I'm glad they're moving on to something different. I don't know how excited I'd be if it was just Evil Within 3. I mean, I'd take it. I'd take it, but GHOSTWIRE seems to have a very interesting sort of premise. I wish we kind of knew more about it. That'll lead to a point in my next video, but it's really exciting seeing like kind of like what seems to be a new idea, seemingly, and coming from Tango Gameworks. I'll always be interested, and this woman seems awesome. Now people are digging up old stuff that she used to say during the production of Evil Within 1 and 2, and she just seems like a really cool person. And it's like another one of those cool Japanese creators you can kind of rally around and be like, oh, their name's attached to it. That game was awesome, and it doesn't happen that much anymore, but I'm glad it's happening again. GHOSTWIRE, I really hope we can see some actual gameplay soon, but this was a definite one of the few highlights for E3 for me this year. So I didn't see this until it was far too late during the trailer when it was playing during Nintendo's Direct, but a new Contra, holy shit. Does the game look a little low budget? Yeah. Does it look a little rough? Yeah, that's what I want. I kind of want a rough looking thing. I'd like anything from Konami would be decent again. The fact that the original producer of Contra 3, Alien Wars, and Hardcore is working on this, the action looks really insane and over the top like I would want. The characters are really off the wall. That's like exactly what I'm looking for this E3. I'm just tired of military shooters and the Tom Clancy ilk. I'm tired of games for services. I'm tired of like just tons and tons of DLC. So this being like a cheap little budget thing, I'm totally happy with that. I really hope it does well, so it'll spur Konami to start making games again outside from collection. So I didn't see that. Apparently it says hardcore somewhere else in it probably says Contra somewhere else in the trailer for this thing, but I didn't see it until like the very end where it actually says Contra Rogue Core. Did I say that wrong before? I might have just said hardcore a million times, whatever. This game is called Rogue Core, which is going to be, you know, a little bit hard for me to remember each time just because it's such a similar title. But I hope this is just fun in a stupid way. The last Contra game ever released, I believe, was Contra Rebirth. I really enjoyed that one, even though it was kind of on the easy side. I hope this has a lot of like difficulty levels and such. Or was Contra 4 the last one? Why the fuck is Contra 4 not on that collection? Anyway, it was a total surprise to see this show up on a E3 presentation. It was an absolute delight. You want to be surprised by something. I don't think a new Contra game was maybe in the mix for rumors and leaks at all, so it was nice seeing something that wasn't spoiled for like lots of people on social media. Contra Rogue Core, I'm really hoping it's good, but its very existence is a good thing. No More Heroes 3! Not much I can say about that. It was heavily hinted at the ending of Travis Strikes Back, whatever. Pseudo was saying super hard, just going in on social media saying, hey guys, check out E3, it's pretty good, and just put the the Shattered Star logo of No More Heroes on there, and I'm like, okay, well, this could be anything. It could be, Travis showing up in another game. It could be just a port of No More Heroes 1, which I also would have been really, really down for. I would not have minded that, but yeah, No More Heroes 3, a new mainline entry continuing the story is coming. Robin Atkin Downs, of course, returns for Travis. I don't think that was full gameplay that they showed, which I'm a little, I wish they kind of showed a little bit of gameplay, but because it seemed a little fake to me. It just seemed like they put a HUD over an FMV or an in-game cinema or what have you. I have no idea where this is going to go. I really hope it still maintains a lot of the stuff from No More Heroes 1, like some of the aesthetics, the tone a little bit. It seems like it's going for much more of a sci-fi thing, like there's just an alien craft settling down above Santa Destroy, and that's seemingly it. I hope it just doesn't go off the walls in like too much of a story that's not related to the first or second. There's still characters there that never really got like an ending to them, and Travis Strikes Again a spin-off, but I'm going on too long. Super happy this exists. I'm glad that Travis Strikes Again was a success for Suda51. Of course, 2020, sometime then, I'd imagine at the end of 2020, it's still, obviously a long time to wait, but I'll wait for it. It's going to be one of those things where I'm like, can't die, can't get shot, can't get run over. I'm really going to try not to, but I'm so happy this exists, and I'm really glad that Suda51 gets to like return to this universe in full. So you're just watching this gorgeous scenery show up, and you're like, this could be anything, and then that dragon comes out the side. I've always really respected the Panzer Dragoon saga, not saga the actual game, but just the trilogy of games, what have you. And it was just, again, much like Contra, just such a surprise that these things are coming back, and with something that looks very akin to the originals. It's like, I'm not going to say I hated it, not going to say I liked it, but like, for example, that new Battletoads trailer, I guess, I suppose I don't know how to feel about that, but I mean, this just, you can feel the love of a lot of old-time Sega fans seeing that. If you go look at Max's reaction, it was like the biggest reaction I've seen from him in a while. So the love is there for some of these franchises, and just some of them just never come back for like ages and ages. And again, it was one of the highlights of Nintendo's press conference where it seemed to be the only one where it's like, hey, do you like this old thing? And you're like, yeah, and then you're like, here's the old thing, just slightly newer, not like, stuff that I'll talk about in my top 10 least hype moments of E3. But again, really cool to see Panzer Dragoon Pack. Really nice to see Sega's letting these franchises out of their dungeon that they perpetually stick them in, with Streets of Rage and stuff. And now this is just refreshing to see old stuff again, because a lot of the new stuff is not. So it's just really exciting to see an old franchise back again, and in a way that everyone seems happy with so far. So Panzer Dragoon, I believe it's a remake of the first title. Very, very much down for this. Rail shooters like this, again, don't come along too often, so I'm super, super glad this was announced during the C3, because there's kind of like sort of like this hole of, you know, forget about the old things, they're never coming back, and there wasn't that much of it. Thankfully, due to a lot of Japanese publishers, those things are coming back, you know, like Final Fantasy VII. Next, Final Fantasy VII. I've said this before in a few videos around E3 time. I don't have nearly as much reverence for Final Fantasy VII. I mostly cut my teeth on like 6, 8, and 9. Those are the ones I played the most, and 7, you know, I've since, you know, seen most of it, played a good portion of it, and I really like the world, I really like the characters, but as for the actual game, I'm like, yeah, cool, Final Fantasy VII, sure. But seeing that gameplay demo, that really, really long one at Square Enix's conference, that looked hype as shit. When there's so much gameplay, you can just get a breakdown about like how this is gonna work, and it just looked sick to me. It just looked so slick. It did look like a really great combination of some of the old tropes from the older turn-based Final Fantasies, but like some new stuff, like a better mix than Final Fantasy 15 was to me. 15 always felt a little weird as combat system. I never really got to grips with it, but this, just watching a video, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm down for this. A bit more like Kingdom Hearts, so I mean, I might be wrong about that, but it's kind of what it looked like to me. Obviously, I'm not going hands-on with it, but graphically, it's amazing. I like all the, you know, slight redesigns and updates to all the characters, and just, they finally kind of won me over with this. Like, now I'm legit excited for it, where all the other trailers were like, just, here's some cutscene shots, here's a bit of gameplay, and I'm like, okay. But that showing that it had at Square Enix's conference really won me over. I'm definitely going to be checking this game out when it comes out, because I was always kind of like, you know, maybe, but yeah, totally made me a believer. Next, Banjo-Kazooie in Smash Brothers. I was pretty sure this was never going to happen. I did see some hints from like a year ago where Microsoft was like, hey, Banjo and Smash, I don't know, we'd like to see that, and it's just one of those things you don't think will ever happen, because so many companies need to agree and check things out. But I guess if it's ever going to happen, it's going to be in Smash, where these dreams do come true. It was really nice seeing Banjo actually look like Banjo and just be what you think of in 3D in like a more modern era, and not like, you know, unneeded like updates and art aesthetics to their design. I'm not going to say which game I'm talking about, but you could see so much joy from so many people about this particular character coming from, you know, all like corners of the internet, like YouTubers, just like general fans, game developers, like people that worked on the original Banjo-Kazooie games. It was just such a nice moment, and while money is certainly involved, like, it does take a lot of companies to be like, okay, you know, let's do this. People are going to like it. Yeah, we're not going to make tons and tons of cash off this. I do hope it really, you know, leads to maybe some more Banjo games from like Rare, I guess. I doubt it, but it was just really, really nice to see. But for me, like Banjo, since I grew up playing those games, it was really cool to see. And I really hope the rest of the Smash DLC roster does that for other people that are fans of whatever franchises they're from. So a really nice moment to like cap off the press conference sections of E3. Finally, one of my most hyped things I saw at E3 is, this is going to come out of nowhere. I talked about this a bit on my Twitters, but Too Human is coming back. Epic Games and Microsoft are re-releasing Too Human into the backwards compatibility of the Xbox One, free of charge. For those that don't have an Xbox One, what happens is that if you have a disc of whatever old game and the Xbox supports backwards compatibility, you pop it in, it installs the disc, and you're done. If you don't own that disc, they always charge a flat rate for all the games, I believe, and you can get it that way. Because of the lawsuit between Silicon Knights and the ruling that a judge made, you can see that in my What Happened video, they can't charge for it, or they're deciding not to, whatever. that is just the most insane thing to me. It was buried in the backwards compatibility like breakdown that Microsoft put out like a day ago. There's lots of cool games in there, like Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands is going to be like maybe in 4K, I think. I'm not sure about that, but that's going to be there. There's every classic Splinter Cell is going to be added, which is sick. Chaos Theory, yes, thank you, but Too Human, I never thought this would ever come back out because it was stricken from all digital stores like a decade ago almost, and the only way you could ever get is you found a physical copy that was just unsold at a GameStop. So it's just wild to me that someone thought to do that. I know there's lots of other hype things. There's a new Zelda or whatever, and that's awesome. Deathloop is cool. There's no gameplay. Doom Eternal was sick, but I was already sold on that. So these are just the things I felt like a particular need to talk about. There is still lots of other games I'm like, well, that's cool, I'm going to buy that, and that's all I have to really say about it. But I just wanted to highlight these 10 things for you because there were at least stories or games where I'm like, I was not expecting it, or it was something that personally meant a lot to me. Overall, I think this is one of the weaker E3s in general, and you'll see why in my next video, the top least hype things about E3 2019.